Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to the channel. About 2 weeks before the Royal Rumble, I did a video right here at WrestleJuice where I looked at all the various champions in the WWE and I speculated, I predicted, I guessed who would be taking the titles off of all those people. Now, WrestleMania has come and gone. We've got new women's tag champions thanks to Backlash. And so a lot of those titles have changed hands. In fact, very few of those titles are in the same hands as they were before the Rumble. I just went really quick and I looked at how I did in that video, and I did kind of okay. I got 4 right out of the 9 champions. I got 1 almost. I thought that Jey Uso would take that title off of Gunther, but I said, yeah, it might be Sami Zayn, and I think I like that as a name, but I didn't in the end go with Sami Zayn, but I got pretty close. I got 4 and 9. That's not terrible. So I thought it'd be fun to do it again now that all the championships, save for a few, have changed hands. I thought I'd go ahead and predict who would be taking the titles off of whom, who's going to dethrone whom in the WWE. And of course, before I get started, do me a favor, let me know who you think is going to dethrone whom in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's go ahead and dive into this. First up, we'll start with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, right now, Judgment Day's Damian Priest has it. Depending on the week, Judgment Day is either on good terms or they're just falling apart at the seams, especially now with Rhea Ripley gone. Dominic Mysterio apparently playing some footsie with Liv Morgan when cameras aren't around. And Damian Priest is basically telling everybody what to do. He's the leader now of Judgment Day, and he's not a terribly effective one. So the big question is, who's going to take it off of Damian Priest? He recently re-signed with the company. He's got Clash at the Castle coming up. He's in a hot feud with CM Punk. You gotta think it's going to be Drew McIntyre. You gotta think that Drew McIntyre is going to end up getting that title that he held for 5 minutes and 46 seconds there at WrestleMania. And yeah, I don't know when it's going to happen. It seems like unless they do Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a couple weeks at King and Queen of the Ring, it seems like they might be on the road to doing Punk versus Drew as the next match that's available for both of these guys when they're both cleared. Right now, they're both dealing with upper arm injuries. Punk has got a triceps tear that he's dealing with, and Drew has like a fractured elbow or something weird. So of course, Scotland is a great place to do that, in Glasgow. But I get the feeling that he's going to main event against Punk with no title on the line there at Clash of the Castle in June, which you would think would probably set one of those guys up to be the #1 contender to that title, which will probably end up happening maybe at Money in the Bank. Hey, you know what? I could see Drew McIntyre beating CM Punk in the main event at Clash of the Castle, maybe even winning Money in the Bank and cashing in on Damian Priest. That actually sounds really good now that I think about it. Wouldn't shock me to see that happen in Toronto. I don't know where they're headed after Toronto. They probably have a show in between that and SummerSlam. Maybe not. SummerSlam. Oh, they got Bash at Berlin. That's right. They got Bash at Berlin. Maybe. Oh, that's going to be it. That might actually be it. Gunther versus Damian Priest in Berlin. Drew McIntyre cashes in and wins there. That's what I'm thinking is, oh my God, that's what's going to happen there. Anyways, let's move on. Women's World Heavyweight Championship right now. Becky Lynch has it. I hate to think this is going to be the case, but I'm feeling like Liv Morgan might win this thing. Maybe even as soon as King and Queen of the Ring, they have a confirmed match there. It'd be weird if Becky's first title defense would be just a loss, like a transitionary period for Becky. So maybe they would put it off. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know if they'd make a big deal about Becky Lynch. She's Irish, not Scottish, and Clash of the Castles in Scotland, which isn't that far away from Ireland. So maybe they'll make a big deal about her being there. I don't know. But it seems clear that Liv Morgan is going to be the person to take that title off her, because we've got Rhea Ripley out with an injury, and Rhea's going to beat Liv for that title. I don't think she's going to come back and beat Becky. Makes me wonder if they didn't have Liv win the Battle Royal to win the title, because beating Becky's a bigger deal. They just have to be careful about that, because once you start beating somebody all the time, then beating them doesn't really mean a whole hell of a lot. But I think Becky still has that thing where beating her is kind of a big deal. So I think it's going to be Liv Morgan. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Again, some of these are pretty obvious. This next one might not be so obvious. I'm talking about the United States Championship, and I'm talking about Logan Paul, of course, who's been an interesting champion in that he's kind of like AAA's version of the Mega Champion, which is like their top title, but they put it on people that go out and about and feature the title in other promotions. Logan Paul features the title like on his podcast. He's obviously got, a massive amount of reach, and WWE likes that. But I feel like whoever takes it off him, it's going to be kind of a big deal. Originally, I was thinking, okay, maybe it's going to be LA Knight. In that video that I did, I actually suggested it was going to be a returning Rey Mysterio, but Rey Mysterio already returned. Now he's on a different brand from the United States Championship, so that's not going to happen. What I think will probably happen is they'll give it to Carmelo Hayes. They want to make a big deal about this guy. He was drafted as the top male wrestler in the draft this year. He's probably going to go far in the King of the Ring tournament, and he might actually win the thing. And if he wins the thing, that would put him, you would think, in some sort of contendership for one of the titles. Maybe not Cody's title, because he just fought Cody in his SmackDown re-debut. But maybe, just maybe, he'll beat Logan Paul for the United States Championship. Right now, Carmelo and Bobby Lashley look like they're going to be getting into kind of a feud. Bobby has kind of a history with that United States Championship. So maybe the idea is, let's put him with the guy who sort of defined the United States Championship over the past couple of years anyways, so that people will associate Carmelo Hayes with being on that level as a guy who can win the United States Championship. I don't really think that Logan Paul, I don't know what the value of having that title on him much longer will have. And it's not like he's had a lot of like definitive feuds necessarily. Probably the closest one would have been Kevin Owens. He beat Kevin Owens thanks to some shenanigans. And then they did a triple threat there at WrestleMania. And then he hasn't really been, well, no, he has been seen since then. But yeah, so I don't know. I kind of feel like Logan Paul is going to lose that thing to Carmelo Hayes. That's my guess on that one. All right, let's talk about the other mid-card title over there on Raw. Sami Zayn currently carrying the Intercontinental Championship. Again, this one seems kind of obvious, but I don't know if there's a way around it. Chad Gable did the big thing to Sami Zayn by German suplexing him out of the arms of his wife. Right now, they're headed towards a triple threat match at King and Queen of the Ring, adding Bronson Reed to the mix. I get the feeling that Bronson Reed is there to sort of eat the pin, or at the very least sort of protect Gable and protect Sami Zayn from looking too weak. Sami Zayn's going to come out of that with the title. Of course, he's got a close connection there in Saudi Arabia. After that, you've got you got Clash of the Castle. That's only a couple weeks later, though. I don't even know if he's going to defend it there. But then you're going to Toronto, which is about 500 miles away from Montreal. Yeah, as you guys know, anybody from Canada, it doesn't matter. Canada's huge. Doesn't matter if you're from one end of Canada. If you go to the other end of Canada, you're still a Canadian and they still love you as if you're from that place that's all that far away. But Toronto and Montreal, it's about 500 kilometers away. I'm going to say kilometers because I think that's the metric they use there in Canada, right? You guys don't use miles. I don't know. Maybe you do. What is it? What is that? Like 250 miles or so? It is 336 miles. It's not that far away. People are still going to be rooting for him there. So it's entirely possible that maybe they do a quick switch up. Sami Zayn loses it. Maybe even at King and Queen of the Ring. They get Gable to win it there. He's not going to lose it in Saudi Arabia. Maybe he loses it at Clash of the Castle and wins it back in Toronto. Regardless, Sami Zayn is going to have a big moment in both Saudi Arabia and there in Toronto. But it still feels like Gable's got to win this thing. Like, it seems like that's his story. And I feel like maybe they'll like split up. Maybe their feud will take them in different directions, or they'll stop feuding. They'll just go off in different directions. Sami Zayn will have a couple title defenses, and then they'll come back around to it at SummerSlam, and Gable will win it there. I don't know. Maybe he needs to reach peak desperation in order for him to get it off Sami Zayn. I don't see any. I mean, look, there's a number of other people who could win it. You know, a program between Ilya Dragunov and Sami Zayn could be amazing. But I kind of feel like it's got to be Gable. Like, they've built him up to this point. Winning the Intercontinental Championship just seems to be a natural element of his story. It's just a matter of when. It's going to be against Sami Zayn, though. That's what I'm thinking. So, yeah, Chad Gable, kind of obvious, but I think it's going to happen with him. All right, let's talk about the Women's World Tag Team Championships, or the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, or whatever they're calling that particular set of titles. They keep on changing the names for all these titles here. Anyways, the WWE Women's Tag titles. Right now, it's held by Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. They just won these titles. And the point of the titles is pretty simple. Make Jade look like a star while they bring her along and get some experience in the ring. They are not going to lose those titles until they are ready for Jade Cargill to go on a solo run. And that's not going to be anytime soon. They are going to be a dominant force. My guess on this one is the tag team that wins these titles off of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill hasn't even been formed yet. They're not actually a thing quite yet, but I do have two suggestions. One, and they're both kind of maybe a little bit on the outside of the box side. So, Nia Jax has been doing some really good work lately. She's on SmackDown, where Bianca and Jade are mostly, but they're the women's tag titles, so they can kind of go anywhere. Somebody who was taken off the active roster list because she was dealing with some health issues is Raquel Rodriguez. When she comes back, my guess is she's going to be drafted to SmackDown. Then her and Nia Jax eventually will take those titles off of Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Why? Because Raquel Rodriguez desperately needs a character change. She's going to be a bad guy with Nia Jax, and they're going to be like the Sisters of Destruction. It's going to be like Kane and Undertaker, but women in the year 2025, probably, because it's probably going to be a long time from now. So that's my guess. My guess is going to be either them, or I was thinking about this also because they got kind of a cool thing going on NXT right now. Shayna Baszler and Natalya. I kind of really want Natalya to get one last run, or another run rather, as a champion of some sort. Her and Shayna Baszler right now are kind of having a feud, but it'd be kind of badass if they just ended up teaming up as, like, you know, the being like submission specialists or something like that. I don't know, just tapping people out left and right. I think that'd be actually really cool. They develop some chemistry, they become a tag team, they end up winning those tag titles, but not for a very long time. That's what I'm thinking. I think that'd be cool, but I'm kind of feeling the Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez. Whoever beats Bianca and Jade, it's going to be a big deal. They're going to have to be powerhouse wrestlers. You can't do this with like the Party Girls, and Kabuki Warriors already had their spot. No, man, it's got to be a bigger deal than that. And I think they're going to have those titles for a long time. So got plenty of time for Raquel Rodriguez to go out and, you know, and take care of her health and then come back strong. All right, next up, let's talk about the Raw tag titles. Right now they're called the WWE World Tag Titles. I think is what they're calling them. It's the pizza titles. I'm talking about, of course, The Miz and R-Truth. Now, I don't know if they're going to have these titles for a long time, or I don't know if they're going to lose them next week. I have no idea. In fact, there's really not a whole hell of a lot of tag teams that I can think of that are really well developed right now on Monday Night Raw. I'm trying to think of any tag teams on Monday Night Raw, to be honest with you. You got Alpha Academy, you got New Catch Republic. I think they just got drafted over there. You've got the LWO was there. It's just a bunch of tag teams that really haven't quite been developed. Let's talk about really quick the Intercontinental Championship, though, because I remember reading a rumor not that long ago that Chad Gable is going to end up teaming up with the Creeds to be like a bad guy faction. So it got me thinking, the Creeds have flirted around that title scene here and there. So I think it's going to be the bad guy Creeds. It's going to be the bad Creeds taking those titles off of The Miz and R-Truth. Like I said, I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know how. I'm not sure how long they want to roll with this. Look, I love R-Truth. I think he's great. But like, I feel like his shtick with The Miz is kind of wearing a little bit on the thin side. And they got to do something a little bit more interesting with them for me to continually care. He's hilarious. They're both funny. I just kind of feel like they probably want to get to doing something a little bit more interesting. It could be Judgment Day, I guess, but I don't know. I kind of feel like the Creeds are ready for like that sort of breakthrough where they win the titles and they start really developing their characters, because right now they kind of aren't. But to see them with Gable would be kind of badass. I think that'd be actually a really cool faction, and eventually would lead to Julius turning on everybody and having a solo run, which I think is going to happen too. All right, let's talk about the SmackDown Tag Champions, currently known as just the WWE Tag Team Champions. Talking about, of course, A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I really like those guys as a tag team. I think it's working out really well for them. However, they are on the same show as the new Bad Bloodline, SmackDown. And so I kind of feel like you got the Guerrillas of Destiny there now. And I kind of feel like some element of the new Bad Bloodline, whether it's Solo and MFT Tama Tonga, or Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, or maybe Jacob Fatu when he shows up and Tama Tonga or Tongaloa. I don't know. You got to figure Guerrillas of Destiny have been together forever, so it's probably going to be them. So yeah, like the new Bloodline needs something, right? Like they need a title. Maybe they'll grab the US title. I don't know. But seems to me, and I think it'd be actually kind of interesting, given that I think Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, as good as they are as bad guys, I think eventually, especially if they feud with like a really vicious bloodline, you can turn those guys into good guys, and I think it would really work. So I think it's going to be the Guerrillas of Destiny. I didn't figure, like a month ago, I didn't think I'd be saying that, but I kind of feel like the Guerrillas of Destiny are going to be the new WWE Tag Champions. Probably wouldn't shock me to see that happen at SummerSlam. That's still a couple months away. Wouldn't shock me to see that at SummerSlam. I think that's a distinct possibility. Let's talk now about the WWE Women's Championship, currently held by Bayley. I think I've been on record now across this channel, the other two channels that I'm on, Going in Raw and Friendo Club Wrestling, as saying that I think Tiffany Stratton is going to win Money in the Bank, and I think she's going to cash in on Bayley, maybe even at Money in the Bank, but maybe later so that she can have like a pink briefcase that she puts a bunch of shit on. Like that looks cool. Like, sort of is in keeping with her outfit and stuff. Yeah, I think Tiffany Stratton's going to cash in on Bayley and become the new WWE Women's Champion, probably in July, maybe in Toronto. I don't know where Tiffany Stratton's from exactly, but sometimes they like to do that in their hometown if it's available, if it's convenient. In any event, I think she's totally going to cash in on Bayley and become the new WWE Women's Championship. I think that's, I don't know. To me, that's sort of the lock of the year right there. I kind of feel like that's definitely going to happen. A lot of people want to see Chelsea Green, but I think Chelsea's going to be spending some time in NXT. I kind of feel like Tiffany Stratton's taken that spot that Chelsea was going to have, but Tiffany's like, I don't know, just sort of the shiny new toy who can really wrestle really good, and I think they're really high on her, so I think she's going to get it. I love Chelsea Green, though. I think she's great. And finally, let's talk about Cody Rhodes and that WWE Championship. There's lots of options here. I've become so attached to the idea that Solo Sikoa, as leader of the new Bad Bloodline, is actually sort of working alongside in secret with the final boss, The Rock. The Rock really obviously wants to have a match with Cody Rhodes. I could totally see them doing a twofer. Probably Cody Rhodes versus The Rock at SummerSlam, and maybe Cody loses there. I hope they continue the tradition of SummerSlam being BummerSlam, where something bad always happens in the end. So the final boss gets that title off Cody Rhodes, disappears to Hollywood. Maybe you have The Rock come back for War Games. The Rock. Roman Reigns comes back to War Games, so they have like a good bloodline versus bad bloodline situation, and then Cody Rhodes ends up getting his title back at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's, I think, how that's going to go down, and then Roman Reigns can take on Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania. If they can really get Solo Sikoa to the point where he's like a Roman Reigns level match guy, which I think they probably could. So yeah, I think The Rock's going to take that title off Cody Rhodes. So there you go. Those are my guesses. Who do I got here? Drew McIntyre, Liv Morgan, Carmelo Hayes, Chad Gable, Nia Jax Raquel Rodriguez, the bad guy Creeds, the Bloodline, who's that? Tiffany Stratton, and The Rock. Oof. Did I go on a limb on any of these? Am I crazy? Am I missing somebody? Am I missing something? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Dog ain't here today. She's out there. I gave her a rawhide. She didn't want to eat it in here, so she's not here. I'm sorry. I know you guys come here for dog, and there's no dog today. So anyways, we'll see you guys around.